Well, hello there and good day. Thank you so much for joining me at Dystopian Report, the place where we talk about the nightmare world we found ourselves living in. I'm your host, Jesse Pullman, and today is Wednesday, July 24th. It's about 2 p.m. EDT when this video goes live. Today we're talking about itch.io, Steam, distributors in general, and how payment processors are being used to censor otherwise legal material. This headline today is that a major video game, book, and other media distributor, itch.io, just delisted a whole lot of not safe for work, big quotes, not safe for work, material from its website, citing that it is under pressure from payment processors such as MasterCard and Visa to censor the material available on its site. This is not the first time payment processors have stepped in to decide what is and is not allowed to be distributed, so we're going to talk about itch, talk about the organization behind the censorship push, and what it means for independent creators like myself. Let's begin by taking a look at itch's post announcing its delistings. So this is itch.io. You can see I have an account here. I am a publisher on itch. I have a couple things out there. It's a post by Lefo, or at Moonscript. It's update on not safe for work content. We have de-indexed all NSFW content from our browse and search pages. We understand this action is sudden and disruptive, and we are truly sorry for the frustration and confusion caused by this change. Recently, we came under scrutiny from our payment processors regarding the nature of some content hosted on itch.io. Due to a game titled No Mercy, which was temporarily available on itch.io before being banned back in April, the organization Collective Shout, which we'll get into in a minute, launched a campaign against Steam and itch.io directing concerns to our payment processors about the nature of certain content found on both platforms. Our ability to process payments is critical for every creator on our platform. To ensure that we can continue to operate and provide a marketplace for all developers, we must prioritize our relationship with our payment processors and take immediate steps towards compliance. This is a time-critical moment for itch.io. The situation developed rapidly, and we had to act urgently to protect the platform's core payment infrastructure. Unfortunately, this meant it was not realistic to provide creators with advance notice before making this change. We know this is not ideal, and we apologize for the abruptness of this change. We are currently conducting a comprehensive audit of content to ensure we can meet the requirements of our payment processors. Pages will remain de-indexed as we complete our review. Once this review is complete, we will introduce new compliance measures. For not safe for work pages, this will include a new step where creators must confirm that their content is allowable under the policies of the respective payment processors, not itch, but the payment processors, linked to their account. Part of this review will see some pages being permanently banned from itch.io. Removed is the word they use, but banned. Affected accounts will be notified via their account's email address from our support address. You can reply to that email if you have any follow-up questions. We ask for your patience and understanding as we navigate this challenging period. I'm sorry we cannot share more at this time, as we are still getting a full understanding of the situation ourselves. We will post a follow-up on our blog if the situation changes. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to take a minute to just restate what they just said. Basically, the payment processors like PayPal have come to them and said, you guys at itch are distributing things we don't like. Well, really, that an organization called Collective Shout doesn't like, but we don't like it because they don't like it. So we're going to tell you that you can't publish what you want to publish because we don't want to pay you for it. Okay. This is the backhand censorship, right? Because it's not the government coming in and saying you can't do this. It's a payment processor coming in and saying you can't do this. Now, from what I've read of this game, No Mercy, that is mentioned, yeah, it's a horrible game. We're not defending that, right? What we're doing is we're saying that this is the sort of thing that gets stretched. When we talk about dystopian literature, when we talk about censorship, we talk about things like mission creep, where at first you start off seeking to protect people from certain types of stuff that's really, really bad and probably should be protected from, right? Should not be on a distributor like itch. But there are usually means to get rid of things like that. There are usually systems in place that you can say to the distributor, hey, this publisher published something that's messed up. It shouldn't be on the platform, and then for that to be followed up on. But no, Collective Shout, this organization, has gone ahead and reached out to payment processors and gotten payment processors to say, if you distribute this stuff on your platform, we will not cooperate with you. We won't let you use our credit card service to pay you for stuff, right? That's odd. That's interesting. That means that whatever Collective Shout says isn't unacceptable is unacceptable. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. is unacceptable to everyone in general. So let's look at Collective Shout for a minute. Collective Shout, this is their website, began in 2009. There was growing concern about the sexualization of children, which is a bad thing. The Australia Institute had released 2 groundbreaking reports on the issue in 2006, Corporate Pedophilia and Letting Children Be Children, Getting Real, Challenging the Sexualization of Girls, Spinifex Press, 2009, followed by 3 years later in 2009. Okay, that's a weird sentence, but we're gonna ignore that. Concerned individuals were asking what could be done to address the problem. The term Collective Shout came about as a result of a letter MTR received from Tanya, I'm going to butcher this name, Andrusiak, who contributed a chapter to Getting Real. Okay, so MTR. Who's MTR? MTR is Melinda Tancred Rice, who is an Australian writer, speaker, blogger, and media commentator. We're going to skip down to the relevant part where today's stuff comes in. 2025, Collective Shout was involved in an open letter campaign demanding credit card companies and PayPal block payments for 500 video games found on Steam and itch.io to game distributing services. The group said the games had appeared in searches for the term rape or otherwise contained themes of incest, sexual violence, and child abuse. Which, again, we're not defending any of that, right? We're not saying these are things that should be on the platform. But following the Steam removals, Vice.com reporter Anna Valens wrote about the group's claim for responsibility, saying the groups had tweeted a trans-exclusionary radical feminist who claimed that, quote, pervert nerds are responsible for most of society's ills, and expressed doubts that the games actually depicted child abuse. In a follow-up article, Valens noted its association with the NCOSC and Exodus Cry, who she described as censorship-prone, and accused the group of targeting popular video games that depict children in scenarios where they face distress or harm, even if these depictions are intended to encourage concern and care in the player. She cited Collective Shout's campaign in the 2018 game Detroit Become Human. While the group targeted the game due to its depiction of child abuse and violence against women, Valens argued that its depiction in the game was intended to encourage empathy for the abused woman and child. Let's talk about that for a minute. What does that mean? It means that media contains stuff we object to, right? There are plenty of stories, which I'm sure you can think of, I don't need to think of them for you, where something bad happens to a child. Something bad happens to an adult. Horrible things happen. And we may not want that in our writing. We may read a content warning and say, we don't want to read this, right? We don't want to play this video game because it contains this stuff. And that's a decision made on the behalf of the individual. Whereas what Collective Shout is doing is making payment processors say, we won't allow you to pay for this, so we won't basically fund it. Which, okay, it sounds reasonable when it comes to something really objectionable, but then it gets stretched. Then it's, any content with a situation of a bad thing is bad, even if that content is made to raise awareness of the bad thing, or to object to the bad thing, or to create alternative paths for the bad thing to not happen. It would be like saying you're not allowed to have violence in a video game. You're not allowed to have a gun in a video game. Well, some video games depict violence gloriously and proudly, and like, hey, violence is great. And some video games depict violence as a horrible thing, and yeah, that's not great. So, what are we censoring here? What happens when child sexuality gets stretched to involve queer people? That's a thing that's happened all the time. Anything having to do with Hungary's laws on sexualization, or Russia's laws on sexualization, will show you just how easily these laws can be manipulated to target the queer community and to censor people talking about their own experiences. And what happens when you censor people talking about their own experiences? All of a sudden, they can't share what happened to them. Other people who are victims of it don't understand what's happening to them. And guess what happens? More crimes take place. So, how do I feel about this? Well, I'm a publisher on Itch. I have 2 things on it already, and I was planning to put more on it because I'm going wide with my old work. Am I going to do that now? I don't know. I understand Itch is in a pickle, right? It's not their fault that the payment processors are doing this to them. Definitely target most of your rage at the payment processors. But that doesn't absolve Itch from its responsibility to stand up to this sort of behavior. Compliance in advance is compliance. And they shouldn't do that. Now, if they have a specific game that is being complained about, or a specific book that's being complained about, that's fine. Let that process play out. They need to have a process for that, and certain things shouldn't be on the site. If it's glorifying atrocities against humankind, it probably shouldn't be on the site, but that's not what's happening here. This isn't reasonable limitations on extreme content being on a platform. This is broad-scale censorship of anything that anyone might deem objectionable in the pursuit of trying not to get censored by payment. I know I'm probably phrasing this wrong. I'm not pretending I'm an expert on it. But yeah, that's about what's going on. So what can we do about this? Reach out to MasterCard. I've already done that. Reach out to Visa. Reach out to PayPal and say, hey, you know what? You've got this organization, Collective Shout, over here, and they're telling you that they want certain things, and you're listening to them. We exist over here, and we're telling you we don't want you to listen to them because they're extremists. If they're platforming trans-exclusionary radical feminists, or TERFs as they're called, it's not long before trans people are targeted. I promise you that. Oh, this media contains people being transgender. It's harmful to the youth if they find it out. It's kind of like COSA. Remember COSA? Kids Online Safety Act? That Marsha Blackburn, one of the sponsors, was like, hey, we're going to use this to target queer people. We're going to use it to target black people. Because it might harm white children to hear what their ancestors did. Yeah, I wrote a whole article on that back in the day, back on my old platform, The Progressive Cafe. You can Google it if you want. But yeah, I don't platform Substack anymore, so I'm not going to do that. Anyway, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to let you think about it. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Comments are a great way to make sure this video gets seen. Otherwise, thank you all so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time. If you enjoyed, please do like, share, subscribe, friend, follow, or whatever this channel. You know, whatever you feel like doing, do it. It really helps. We're trying to hit 100 by the end of the year. Thank you so much for joining me, and as always on this channel, pieces.